This video is going to be a review / installation of the Oracle Halo kit for the 6th Gen Maxima. Let's take a look inside. We have a total of four LEDs. This is what it looks like. It's just a bunch of LEDs mounted on this circuit. And the reason why I'm going to be installing these is because the old ones that I have, these ones here, these are the old CCFL style rings, which they no longer make, so I had to order the newer type. These are, I believe, have a gas inside of them, so that once that gas is expired, then it no longer lights up. So sometimes they come on, sometimes they don't, and it's kind of it's not as bright anymore. So I'm going to be taking these headlights off the car and then basically showing you the entire process of how to install this new kit. The first thing we're going to need to do is remove the front bumper cover, and we're going to start off by removing the grill. There are 4 clips on this grill here. I went ahead and removed those clips. I'm going to wiggle this guy out of here. Next we have 2 more clips in the front. One here and one here. We need to remove those. Okay, so those clips are removed. Now we gotta work on the 2 screws that we have on either side of the car. Before you do that though, you need to take off 2 screws, 2 smaller screws. There's one here and there's one over here. I went ahead and removed those 2 screws on both sides. The next thing is this other screw here. This is a 10mm, and there's another one further back. You can see that in the back there. Okay, lastly, once you have all those screws out, you gotta look at the bottom, and there are a few more along the front lip, the bottom of the front lip. Originally these were clips. I have screws in there now because this thing kept popping off. Okay, once all the screws are removed, we can go ahead and take this bumper off. It should wiggle right out. You'll notice that there's a connection here that goes to the corner light. You don't need to take that off. All we need to do is to gain access to these 2 screws. You have one here and one here. Basically what's holding this light in place is those 3 screws, those 2 and then this one here. We're gonna remove those. Oh, there's one more here, so the total of 4. These are all 10mm, by the way. Now the assembly can be taken off. Here you have this plug. You can remove this plug. Plug is removed, and there's your entire assembly. Now both assemblies are off. The next thing I'm going to do is strip them down, take all this off, get them ready so we can cook them. These here can just be twisted and pulled. I went ahead and removed some of these screws. 2 here, and you have 3 here. This guy comes off. Behind this guy you have this one screw. Remove that screw and take off this plug. Plug has been removed, and this one you can twist it and pull it. Then you can push this through here, and we're going to take it out at the top. This one has I believe 6 screws, so you have 5 screws in there. The last one we have is the fog lamp. Twist this and pull it. There you have it. Light is out. and this whole harness comes off. Lastly, we have two small screws that need to be removed. One here and another one down here, right here. We're preheating the oven to 200 degrees. Once that's ready to go, we're gonna pop it in there. I'm using some wood so that no part of the assembly is touching any metal part. I went ahead and placed the unit inside the oven, making sure that it's not touching any of the walls. And we're gonna leave it in there for 14 minutes. 14 minutes are up, so I'm gonna take it out and basically just carefully making sure I don't burn my hands. It also helps to have a screwdriver so you can get in between and then just lift it. Just go like that and use some force to try to pry it open. Keep in mind that as you're doing this, there are some plastic clips here that you're just gonna have to bend as you work your way down. And I'm using the screwdriver, sticking it in there. I'm just kind of try doing this motion like this. Like that. There we have the disassemble unit. Stick your hand in here and try to pull it. As you hold down the other piece, this other piece, it comes off pretty easily. And there we have two pieces. And this is where the halos will go. I'll remove the old ones, put the new ones in. Right now I'm using a knife to remove this old sealant. I'm gonna put a new one in it. Last time I did this, I noticed that condensation was forming inside the lens. Here I have the new halos, and wanted to show you what they're gonna look like. So that one's gonna go like that, and this one will go like that. I'm gonna have to drill a hole down here to route the wires through there. As you can see, I already started making the hole. This bottom piece comes off. There's a small screw back here. Once you take the screw off, I used to drill and on this knife here to carve out the hole. So you can see that's what it looks like. There's the light in the hole. Wires went through the hole. I want it to sit flush, just like the left side. And that's what it looks like once it's been put back together. I went ahead and carved out a little groove there for the top one. And you have it. That's what that one looks like. So for the last step in gluing this thing down, there is a 3M tape in the back of this. So they recommend that you remove this this top piece here, and also apply some type of epoxy so that makes a stronger bond. I have this here. This epoxy that I'm gonna use. I went ahead and applied the epoxy, and I'm just applying pressure on the LEDs for a few moments. Then I'm gonna put tape and try to hold it in place for a few minutes. That way, and make sure that it stays there. As you notice, there are some gaps where there won't be any contact between the LED and the housing. But at least the top here, there's good contact. Alright, so the bottom one's done. I'm gonna work on the top one. You can more or less see how much epoxy you really need. It's not gonna make contact all the way around, so just on some of the edges and the top. Both LEDs are in place now, and there you can see I put tape on both of them. I'm gonna leave that on there for a little while until it's nice and dry. The lights are done. Yeah, epoxy is dried up. There we go. I went ahead and removed all the old sealant from that was left over. I'm gonna put new one on there. Same thing with this. I basically used a heat gun. I went all around with a flathead screwdriver, trying to get all of that cleaned out. And I bought some sealant on Amazon. So with this seal, you just take your time. I was just using my fingers to try to get it in there. And it went all the way around. So I went ahead and finished putting the sealant on there. Then I put the cover on top of the housing, and as you can see, it's just resting on there. The next thing I'm going to do is preheat the oven 200 degrees as we did before, and throw it in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes, and apply some pressure after that to make it seal all the way. Alright, so the assembly is out of the oven, and I was able to use some pliers, some vice grips to clamp it down. Now everything's nice and sealed. I'm going to leave the vice grips on there for a little while, just to make sure that it stays in place while the sealant cools down, and everything's looking good. Also went ahead and put back the screws. There's one here and one over here. When you're doing this, you also want to make sure that you use these clips. Make sure that these clips are going into place like that. That will help keep it in place also. Yeah, they're all the way around it. Alright, next we have to do something about these wires. With the old kit, I had made some holes here. There's one hole there and another hole here, where I could route these wires through, because they have to stick out once I put all the assemble everything back together. These have to stick out so that I can make the connection here. So right now I'm just gonna remove this end cap here, these metal pins right here, push them down with something sharp, and then pull these wires out. Alright, so I went ahead and fed those cables, the wires right through there. They come out this side. There we go. Now I'm just going to put the connection back on there, this end piece. Alright, so both wires are sticking out now, and later I'm just going to put some silicone there. That way we don't have any air going in, no way of condensation forming inside. Alright, so the way I had set up my old Halo kit was that I had it connected to the turn signal. So this right here, I tapped into the turn signal wires. So every time my parking lights came on or the headlights came on, then they would light up. This time I want to do it a little differently. Instead of tapping into this turn signal, I want the Halo kit to always be on. As soon as I turn the car on, I want it to be on. So this setup will not work for that. And the reason why that's not going to work is because if the lights are completely turned off, then they won't get any power. Also, if it's in auto, automatically off, it won't get any power. The only way that would work is if I have it there, parking lights, or the headlights are on, right? You need to find a fuse that will provide the power when the car is running. So in order to do that, in the Maxima, the 06 Maxima, you have two fuse boxes. You have one here and one here, at least in the engine bay. And there's another one inside the car that I can show you later. But essentially, you're gonna have the car turned off, and then you're gonna get one of these. It's a test light that's gonna measure current going through a fuse. So alright, so before you begin, make sure that your test equipment is working properly. For a test light, it's very easy. You just connect it to the negative of the battery, and then the other side to the positive. If you see the light come on, that means it's working properly. Here we have a bunch of fuses. I have connected the test light to the negative post here, but essentially you can put it into any ground basically in the car. And I'm gonna go one fuse at a time. The car is turned off right now, and we have power. If you touch any side of these fuses and you notice the light come on, you can't use that one. You got to find a different one. So I'm testing all these small fuses, 15, 10 amp, and 20 amps. No, light keeps coming on. So none of these fuses are going to work for me. I need to find a fuse that doesn't come on. Alright, so now I'm on this left fuse box, the left side of the engine bay. I've connected that to a ground there. And I'm going to go take a look at these fuses. Alright, so the first fuse, when I touch it, it doesn't come on. The light doesn't come on. This one, it does come on. Right. So I'm looking for one of these type of fuses where the light doesn't come on. Right. So this is a good candidate for what I want to do. Let's keep testing. Can't use that one. This other one looks like it's a good one too. This one too. See, so none of these are coming on right now. I tested them before, so I know these are good fuses. They're not blown, because that's another thing. If they don't come, the light doesn't come on, means that the fuse is either blown or it only runs when the car is running. Alright, so the car's on now. I'm gonna start touching the ones that didn't come on in the past. Now we have a light. We have light. So all of these are working now. That means that these only work when the car is running. This one doesn't come on. That's because that's for the headlights. So you have to turn the switch on the steering column. Turn the switch and this will come on. That's for headlights. These are working, so I can pick any of these here. So I've decided to go with this fuse down here. This one, number 4, bottom, starting from the right. And that one says here that is the washer motor. I looked this up online. It looks like it's the pump for the windshield washer. So that should be safe. I'm gonna do that before I start tapping into this. It's a good idea to disconnect your battery. I already done that. So I went ahead and got one of these. This is a fuse tap. This is basically going to go in there. I'm going to remove the fuse from this box and stick this in there, and then that fuse will go in the bottom here, right? And then I'm going to put another fuse in the top. That's going to be my draw. That's going to go to the LED lights. So it's important to determine where the load is, basically where the current is coming to. It's either going to be coming to the bottom or to the top. So we're going to turn on the car and determine where the load is. Alright, so the car is on now. I'm going to put the test light on here. I removed the fuse, put the test light on there in the bottom. Right. When I put it in the bottom, I get a light. If I put it on the top, I should get no light. I get no light in the top. That means that the current is flowing through the bottom, right? So when I put in the fuse tab, this has to go in like that, like this. All right, so current is going to come through the bottom and flow to the top. All right, this is what it looks like. I removed the original fuse and I put it in the bottom here. Now the next thing you gotta know is that in order for this to work, you gotta put, this is a 10 amp fuse, you gotta put something that is less than 10 amps on the top here. So otherwise this is not gonna work properly. So I have some fuses here. I got this is a 7.5. I'm gonna take the 7.5 and I'm gonna put it in the top there. Alright, so that's what it looks like when it's all done. And again, I can't stress this enough. Make sure that if you don't understand what is going on here, look up some videos online and just get yourself familiarized with how this circuitry works, how the electricity flows, so that you don't end up burning your fuse or causing any major damage to your car. Alright, so this is gonna go in there into this bottom one. It's gonna go in there like that, and then the LEDs is gonna be hooked up to that. At least the positive will be hooked up to this. Alright, so I went ahead and connected everything up. We have the fuse step there. This is the positive from the LEDs, goes into the tap. Here I have the negative wire. I'm going to put it up against the negative post on the battery, and we should see the light come on. There we go. I went ahead and drilled a little hole on the fuse box cover so that I can have easy access to this wire here. Alright, so the headlights are finished now. They are nicely sealed and cleaned. I also made a separate video to show you how I cleaned these lights. It came out really good. Basically found a new product for cleaning the lens. There's the other one there. Next I'm going to show you guys how I did the wiring. Alright, so as you can see, you're going to have 4 wires sticking out, 2 for each of the LEDs. That's for the ones on the top, and here's the other one for the bottom. Then you have an inverter for each one of the LEDs. These little guys here. Alright. So the next step was to connect 12 volts. The way I did that, I tapped into some fuses on this side, this box here. So I have 2 connections coming out of there, 1 for each headlight. They're independent. So you just need to connect the 12 volts on top of a 12 volt source, and then the black wire. So you also have a black wire coming out of here, and the black one here goes to the ground. So with the Maxima here, we have grounds available to us right behind the headlight. I just connected to this bottom screw here, took the screw out and wound the black wire around it and put it back on there real tight. That gives me my ground. You could have also done that to going directly to the battery. For the left one, kind of same deal. You have ground connections in the back here, so I just connected it to one of these guys, the top one here. Alright, so basically both black wires from this headlight here go into here, into the ground, and then the two red ones, which are the voltage, positive voltage, goes into this fuse box. And as you can see, I'm gonna run this wire through here. Let's take a look inside this fuse box. I went ahead and tapped into two of these fuses. Yeah, one here and one here. Okay. With these piggybacks, you just have to know what you're doing. Be mindful of what you're tapping into. There is a specific way of doing this, so just watch some videos on YouTube to get yourself familiarized with it. Next, I'm just gonna go ahead and finish cleaning everything up and bolt everything back on. Alright, so here I'm just showing you what I did with the inverters. I just used some 3M tape and attached them to the headlight. Alright, so here I'm doing a quick walk around of what it looks like once it's all done. Alright, we're going to start the car, take a look at what the new halos look like. I would say that they definitely are a lot brighter than the old ones.